The Galactic Academy's Xenobiology amphitheater hummed with anticipation. Students from 17 different species occupied the tiered seating, their various sensory organs focused on the presentation floor below. Professor Velthar, a crystalline whose faceted body refracted the overhead lights into dancing rainbows, adjusted the environmental controls one final time. "Today," Velthar announced, their voice resonating through translation matrices embedded in each seat, "we conclude our comparative domestication study. Each of you has presented a companion species from your homeworld. We have seen the Altharian silk moths, the Crovenian thought fish, and even the peculiar singing stones of Hexar Prime." Jennifer Chen stood at the back entrance, her fingers wrapped around a standard containment leash. Her heart hammered against her ribs. Beside her, Kevin Martinez checked the environmental seals on his specialized transport container for the third time. "You sure about this?" Jennifer whispered, eyeing the opaque cylinder that hummed with climate control systems. Kevin's grin was the same reckless expression she'd seen before he'd convinced her to try actual Earth coffee in zero gravity. Too late to back out now. Besides, the assignment was clear. Bring a pet that exemplifies the relationship between your species and domesticated fauna. "Most people brought something, cute. Most people aren't from a death world." Professor Velthar's voice cut through their whispered conversation. "And finally, we have our human representatives. I understand you've prepared a joint presentation." Jennifer squeezed through the entrance, Kevin maneuvering the container behind her. The ambient temperature dropped 2 degrees as they entered, standard protocol when humans were present. Every species in the room had evolved on worlds that would kill an unprotected human in minutes, yet the Academy maintained Deathworlder protocols whenever Terrans attended. The irony wasn't lost on Jennifer. "Thank you, Professor," she began, her voice steady despite her nerves. "My name is Jennifer Chen, and this is Kevin Martinez. We're both third-year xenobiology students from Earth, and yes, we've collaborated on today's presentation." A ripple of curiosity passed through the amphitheater. The Quilvar delegation, delicate, moth-like beings, leaned forward on their perches. Even the Korathi, who typically showed little interest in mammalian species, adjusted their heat-sensing pits in the humans' direction. Kevin placed the container on the presentation platform. Earth, as many of you know, is classified as a Class 12 death world. High gravity, extreme temperature fluctuations, aggressive microbial life, and an atmosphere so corrosive that it literally oxidizes metal. "We're aware of your planet's hostility," Professor Velthar interjected, a note of concern in their harmonic voice. "Is whatever you've brought properly contained?" "Absolutely," Jennifer assured them. "What we've brought today is completely safe under controlled conditions. But to understand the significance of this particular domestication, you need to understand something about Earth." She activated a holographic display. Images of Earth's biosphere materialized above the platform, towering predators with serrated teeth, venomous arthropods the size of dinner plates, microscopic organisms that could liquefy tissue. On Earth, humans aren't apex predators by virtue of strength or natural weapons. We're persisters. We're endurance hunters. We took a hostile planet and bent it to our will through stubbornness, tool use, and one particular strategy that defines human civilization. Kevin picked up the thread. "We befriended the monsters." The environmental seals on the container hissed open. Kevin reached inside with practiced ease, and when his hands emerged, they cradled something that made half the amphitheater recoil. It was roughly 1/2 meter long, covered in dark fur that seemed to absorb light. Its head was broad and flat, with forward-facing eyes that gleamed with predatory intelligence. When it opened its mouth, 4-centimeter-long canines caught the light, curved, designed for gripping and tearing. Its paws, currently relaxed in Kevin's arms, concealed retractable claws that could shred flesh from bone. This, Kievan announced, is a cat. The Quilvar delegation immediately retreated to the back of their seating area. Several students activated personal shield generators. Professor Velthar's crystalline structure darkened, their species equivalent of alarm. That is a Class 4 predator. Velthar's voice climbed an octave. Terran felines are documented ambush hunters with kill ratios that. That would be impressive if she was hunting, Jennifer interrupted calmly. She reached over and scratched behind the cat's ears. The predator's eyes closed, and a sound emerged from its chest, a rhythmic rumbling that the translation matrices struggled to interpret. "Is it malfunctioning?" asked a Korathi student. "She's purring," Kievan explained. "It's a vocalization that indicates contentment. Her name is Artemis, and she's been my family's companion for 6 years." Jennifer brought up another holographic display. Felis catus, domesticated approximately 10,000 Earth years ago. Unlike most domestication events, cats essentially domesticated themselves. They were attracted to early human agricultural settlements because we had grain stores and grain attracted rodents. The cats hunted the rodents. We appreciated the pest control. A partnership formed. "But it's a predator," a Hexarian student protested, their stone-based physiology making them less concerned than the organic species but still wary. "How do you trust it?" Kievan set Artemis on the platform. The cat stretched, extending her claws briefly before retracting them. Then she did something that caused audible gasps from the audience. She rubbed against Jennifer's legs, tail curved in a question mark shape. "Trust is the foundation of domestication," Jennifer explained. "Artemis is a predator, yes. She has hunting instincts, but she's also been raised in an environment where humans provide food, shelter, and social interaction. We've created a bond that transcends pure survival." "This seems illogical," Professor Velthar observed, though their tone had shifted from alarm to academic curiosity. "Your species shares living space with a creature capable of inflicting significant harm." "Not just capable," Kievan said. "Artemis here has killed dozens of small animals, mice, birds, even a young rabbit once. Earth's ecosystem is brutal. Everything is trying to eat everything else. But here's the thing," he crouched down and Artemis immediately head-butted his hand, demanding attention. "She knows we're not prey, we're family." Jennifer advanced the holographic display to show images of humans throughout history with cats. Egyptian murals, medieval tapestries, modern photographs of children sleeping next to felines that outweighed them. "Humans don't just domesticate convenient species," she continued. "We domesticated wolves, pack hunters that could tear us apart. We domesticated horses, animals powerful enough to kill us with a single kick. We even domesticated elephants, beings that mass several tons. It's not about finding harmless creatures to keep as pets. It's about forming bonds with powerful beings and creating relationships of mutual benefit." A Quilvar student, braver than their fellows, descended closer to the platform. May I examine it more closely?" "Her," Kievan corrected gently. "And yes, but move slowly. Sudden movements trigger predator instincts." The Quilvar approached with delicate precision. Artemis watched with interest, pupils dilating to track the movement. For a moment, the amphitheater held its collective breath. Then Artemis yawned, displaying her full dental arsenal, before settling into a loaf position and closing her eyes. "Extraordinary," Professor Velthar murmured. "The predator exhibits no aggression toward an obvious prey species. Because she's not hungry, she's not threatened, and she's been socialized to accept different beings," Jennifer explained. "This is what makes human domestication unique. We didn't just breed animals for specific traits. We formed psychological bonds across species barriers." Kievan pulled up biological data. Artemis's ancestors were solitary hunters in Earth's deserts. Modern domestic cats retain 95% of their wild genetics, but something changed in their behavior. Plasticity in their social structures allowed them to adapt to living with humans. And humans, being humans, didn't just tolerate them. We loved them. Even though they're dangerous, asked the Hexarian. Especially because they're dangerous, Jennifer said softly. She picked up Artemis, who draped across her arms like liquid. There's a concept on Earth, earned trust. Anyone can control something helpless, but forming a bond with something powerful, something that chooses to be gentle, that's special. The presentation continued for another 20 minutes. They discussed the neurology of the human-cat bond, the evolutionary advantages both species gained, the cultural impact of cats throughout human history. They showed videos of cats performing impossible feats of agility, demonstrated Artemis's hunting behaviors with a toy, and explained the complex communication system of meows, chirps, and body language. By the end, half the class had approached the platform. The Quilvar student had even been permitted to gently touch Artemis's fur, an experience that left them trembling, though whether from fear or wonder, Jennifer couldn't tell. Professor Velthar's crystalline form had returned to its normal luminescence. I must admit, when the assignment was first given to our human students, I expected something simpler. The Altharians brought beings they'd genetically designed for companionship. The Crovenians brought creatures with minimal cognitive function. But you've brought an apex predator from a death world and demonstrated mutual affection. That's very human of us, Kevin said with a smile. As the class dispersed, Jennifer carefully returned Artemis to her container. The cat protested with a small meow but settled when Kevin slipped her a treat. You know, Jennifer mused, half of them are going to file reports about the Deathworlders bringing weapons to class. Let them, Kevin laughed. They need to understand, humans don't conquer through force alone. We conquer through friendship. We looked at wolves and saw dogs. We looked at wild cats and saw companions. We look at a hostile universe and see potential friends. Artemis purred in her container, unbothered by the philosophical implications of her existence. Above them, through the Academy's transparent dome, 1,000 alien stars glittered against the void. And somewhere among them, Earth turned, a blue marble of death and beauty, where humans had learned long ago that the best way to survive monsters was to make them family. Professor Velthar watched the humans leave, then made a note in their personal files. Recommendation: never underestimate a species that domesticates its nightmares.